Okay, so we're going to talk about, and good morning to the class and to everyone. So the first topic which we're going to discuss today is about release strategies. So we're going to discuss about release strategy. Release strategy basically means approval strategies. So release strategy basically means approval strategies, electronic approval of different documents. So that is where release strategy come into the picture. That how we can get an electronic approval of the document. In the release strategy, there are few terms which you need to understand: the release conditions, the release strategy, the release indicator, and the release code. The release conditions define the conditions under which a release strategy applies. Now, you might have noticed that we did numerous exercises and hundreds of purchase requisitions we created. So all different exercises which we did, we created many exercises. Now, in those exercises, we have been able to we never got any release procedure assigned. We never got any purchase requisition assigned to any release strategy. We got not any purchase order assigned to any release strategy. And the reason for that is that those release conditions was not met. So release strategy will only apply if certain conditions are met. If you see here in the screen, there is something called value. There is something called material type. There is something called plant. Now, what does this basically mean? Now, that basically means that under what conditions we are applying a release strategy. So we are saying if the value of a purchase requisition is something. If purchase requisition value is very small, there is no need to apply release strategy. But if you have a purchase requisition which is more than $1,000, you will apply to approve. If you have a release strategy which is not, release strategy which is not yet of certain materials, no release strategy will apply. If there are certain material group, type of material, if you're buying production items, probably you may not like any approval of them because they are coming for production, what to approve. You might have release strategy based upon the plant. If you have a certain plant, then you apply release strategy, or based upon the plant, you will say if plant is A, then approval will be done by another person. So release conditions are the conditions under which a release strategy applies. The release strategy tells me that who is authorized to release, who can approve, and we can designate. And we can designate that who else and who else can actually approve our purchase requisition. Who is authorized to release? In what order must the releasing occur? In what order? First, it is approved by manager, then it is approved by supervisor, then it is approved by general manager, then approved by the MD, then approved by somebody, chairman. What is the release indicator? Basically means when you're releasing, then what is the impact of that releasing? So release indicator means what is the status? What happens with the purchasing document? Released, blocked for ordering. Released, blocked for ordering. That basically means whether we can release it or whether we can block it. That is what it basically means. So, what does this, based upon release strategy, purchase order creation is blocked. But after approval, it is released. Because of release strategy, you cannot create RFQ request. Or after approval, you can release it. Whether we can do MRP, whether for that item which is not approved, can we do MRP or not? Then we have something called release code. In the release code is assigned to a user ID. So release code basically tells us that who can release this document. That is where the release code comes into the picture. The release code tells me that what document can be released and who can release. So release code can be assigned to a release strategy. So I would like you guys to make a note of release conditions, release strategy, release indicator, and the release code. Okay. I would like you guys to make a note of it. Make a note of these four terminologies, which says release condition, release strategy, release indicator, and the release code. So make a note of these four terms, and we will understand these terms in more detail. Release condition, release strategy, release indicator, release code. So make a note of that. So we have release conditions, release strategy, release indicator, and release code. Now we have something called release procedure without classification. Make a note of that term. Release procedure without classification. When we are doing the release strategies, there are two different methods. In those two methods, one is with classification, another one is without classification. Now, I want to go to configuration, and I want to show you whether release strategies are different. So if you go to a configuration, if you go to SPRO, and then we go to materials mismanagement, if you go to purchasing, and then we go to purchase requisition, I go to release procedure. Now here we have two options, without classification and with classification. So there are two options. So I would like you guys to make a note of this menu path where we have a materials management, purchasing, purchase requisition, release procedure, setup without classification, and release procedure with the classification. So make a note of this menu path. Okay. Make a note of this menu path in configuration. So the release procedure in purchase requisition can be set up without classification and can be set up with classification. In most cases, people will use with classification. Without classification is rarely used, if not at all. The reason, because with classification provides much more extensive capabilities for the release strategies. Those capabilities are not available with classification. So make a note of the menu path where this release procedures is being defined. So here we have a materials management, purchasing, purchase requisition, release procedure, setup without classification, setup with classification. So there are two different methods: with classification and without classification. Okay. Now, coming back, when you're doing without classification, then the conditions, there are only 1, 2, 3, 4. These are the 4 conditions which are available to make the release strategy work. And that is a problem. Means the availability of conditions under which a release strategy can be applied is minimal. So you can only create a release strategy on the basis of value of the purchase requisition, on the basis of what type of material it is, on the basis of account segment category, on the basis of plant. So value, material group, account segment category, plant. Good. If certain value, if certain type of material, certain type of account segment category, for example, like cost center, if there is a plan, and if certain values and certain conditions in purchase requisitions are met, then a release strategy will apply. And based upon that release strategy, we will see how this approval will work. Then we have something called release procedure with classification. In most cases, in the real world, if somebody using release strategy, they're going to use with classification. With classification provides a lot more capability and abilities in the release procedure. So this functionality is a lot more conditions which you can apply, which is not possible before. Release procedure with classification. Now, if I go back to the configuration, now here we have release procedure with classification. If I go to release procedure with classification, first and foremost, there is a characteristic, there is a class, there is a setup procedure with classification. I go to setup procedure with classification. Now here we have release good, release code, release indicator, release strategies. That is what we see here. release group. In the release group, you can define different groups of the release strategy. Now, this release group is also associated to something called class. FRG_EBAN is the name of the class. So there's a group, and each group is assigned to a class. And we'll understand what is the meaning of the class is. That is what we are saying, characteristic in a class classification system. In SAP, there is a sub-module which is called classification. So if we go back to a sub-module, and in cross-application component, we have the classification. Now, why it is in cross-application components? Because this classification can be used in many areas. This classification could be used in release strategy, can be used in customer, can be used in vendor, can be used in item, can be used in many other places. That is why this classification system is part of cross-application component. So I would like you guys to make a note of this cross-application component. So make a note of that. So make a note of this classification. Classification is a sub-module, and that sub-module is used in many, many functions. SAP release strategy is one of the module, one of the functions, one of the usage. This release strategy is used in many, many different areas. So we have something called characteristic release strategy. Now, I go back to release strategies here. And we have all these different release strategies being assigned. So I select one of them. I select release strategy ZZ, which is part of the release group 01. And if I go to the detail, so here, the first and foremost, I see the release code. Now, if you look at the release code, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You can define 8 code for one release strategy in one group. Now, 8 code basically means, what is the meaning of that in the real world perspective or the business perspective is that you can define 8 level of hierarchy. So it goes to my supervisor, from supervisor go to manager, manager go to senior manager go to general manager go to vice president go to the ADM go to director producer. So it can go to the 8 levels. That is why we have here these 8 code 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That is why we have these 8 codes, and we can go to the 8 levels. In this release strategy, we have 2 levels, Z1 and Z2. Prerequisite. In the prerequisite, first Z1 will approve, then Z2 will approve. There is a sequence. First Z1 will approve, and once Z1 is approved, then Z2 gonna approve. Now, somebody calling me. Can you guys hear me? My voice coming to you all? Is my voice coming to you? Can you guys all hear me? Okay, wonderful. So here, okay, good, thank you. I just want to check, verify that my voice is coming to you. So we saw the prerequisite. Then we have a release status. And when we go to release status, whatever. Now look at this screen carefully. Now Z1 and Z2 are two labels. So Z1 like manager and Z2 means like a senior manager. Just an example. If a purchase requisition is not approved by Z1 or Z2, then the status is S. Status is blocked. So if it is not approved by Z1, if it is not approved by Z2, then the status of the purchase requisition is blocked. If it is approved by Z1, but it is not approved by Z2, then you can go for RFQ. So if it is approved by Z1, if it is not approved by Z2, then you can go for RFQ. If it is approved by Z1 and if it is also approved by Z2, then status becomes B, which basically means you can go for RFQ and you can also go for purchase order. So that is the release strategy logic. In this example, Z1 and Z2, if it is not approved by both, then that purchase requisition is blocked for RFQ and is blocked for purchase order. If it is approved by Z1 but not by Z2, then you can go for RFQ. And if it is not approved by both, then you cannot go for RFQ, and then you cannot go for by okay. So that is what the meaning that is. Now we go to classification. Now in the classification, in this release group 01, there is a release strategy called ZZ, which is associated to a class type 032, and the name of the class is FRG underscore EBAN. This is the name of the class, FRG underscore EBAN. In this class, we have these characteristics. And if I scroll down, there are several characteristics, and each characteristic is assigned to a value. So now what is the meaning of it? So that basically meaning of that is, if I go to account assignment category, so there is one characteristic called account assignment category. So account assignment category should be blank. Material group should be equal to STM 520. Plant equals to 1000. Purchasing group should be one of these values, Z21, Z23, Z30, Z01, Z04. Purchasing group should be one of these purchase group, which is assigned here. Then there is a field called requirement tracking number. That field should be value equals to this. And then total value of a purchase requisition item should be greater than 1000. And the purchasing requesting document should be NB. This purchase requisition will apply if all these different conditions are met. In all the hundreds of exercises we have done in our past few months, none of the purchase requisition was applied to any release strategy. And the reason, because not all these conditions was met. Accountant category, blank. Material group equals to this value. Plant equals to this value. Purchasing group equals to this values. One of these values. And then requirement tracking number equals to this value. Total value of item equals to this value. Purchase requesting document equals to this value. So system should have all these different characteristics should apply. If all these different characteristics are applied, then release strategy ZZ will be applied. So condition release strategy ZZ will apply if a purchase requisition has these values, all of these values, not one of them or two of them, all these different characteristics and their value matching. All characteristics should have desired value, all of them. You cannot say that, okay, I have this document type, but value is not matching. All of them should match. And once all characteristics and their value are matching as per this release strategy expectations, then this release strategy will apply. Coming back to my PDF. So, purchase requisition and purchase order release document. So, release strategy can be applied in multiple places. Release strategy can be applied in purchase requisition. Purchase release strategy can also be applied to other purchasing documents, for example, purchase order. So, release strategy can apply to multiple purchasing documents. Most people will have a purchase requisition release strategy in the purchase requisition. Normally, the reason having a release strategy in the purchase requisition is because by the time we reach purchase order, we are already too late. So we have a release purchase requisition, and in the purchase requisition we have item 1, item 2, item 3, item 4, and I would like you guys to make a note of this term: release strategy at item level or document level, purchase order release strategy at a header level. Make a note of these two terms. So that what is the meaning of this is? The meaning of this is in a purchase requisition, release strategy could be at an higher level, or release strategy can also be at an item level. So release strategy could be defined at both levels, header level also and item level also. Header level basically means you can have a release strategy which applies to the entire purchase requisition, and you can also have a release strategy which is allow you to approve line item by line item. Line item by line item basically means that in purchase requisition, I might have a line item 1, line item 2, line item 3, and out of the 3 line items, I approved 2 of them, I don't approve second one. So I can choose which item I want to approve and which item I don't want to approve. So that is why we have release strategy at item level and release strategy at header level or document level. And we can do both. Now we also have something called release strategy at header level. In a purchase order, release strategy can only be at the header level. Release strategy can only be at the header level. So the header level basically means either you are approving the entire purchase order or you're not approving at all. In case of purchase requisition, we can have release strategy either at the item level or at a header level. So we have a choice. We can approve entire document, and we can approve some of the line items. So you can have a release history at item level, and we can have a release history at a document level. Okay. So that is the difference between the release history in purchase requisition and release history in a purchase order. So I would like you guys to make a note of it, that in the purchase requisition, release strategy can be applied at the item by item or for entire document. In purchase order, you cannot do item by item. You can only do at a header level. Prior to release 4.0, requisition could only be released at the item level. That was the only thing which was possible. But after version 4.0, now you can do it both. You can do at a item level, and you can also do at a header level. In 4.0, SAP has added functionality of releasing purchase requisition at a header level. So now you can do both. Release strategy, apart from purchase requisition, can also be applied to purchase orders, quotations, agreements, and other purchasing documents. So it is applicable in multiple places. Determination of the release procedure, document type 4.0. So in the document type label, there is an indicator which says overall release procedure. So you can basically put an indicator whether you want overall release or not. That is an indicator in the configuration for the purchase document type. And then you can release individual line item 1, line item 2, line item 3. This apply to this release strategy, apply to this release strategy, you can apply to this release strategy, and then you can approve or not approve individual items in a purchase requisition. So you have a choice of approving or not approving an individual line item in a document. Yeah. So that choice we have. There is also functionality of workflow. Workflow is a separate module by itself. Workflow can be used in many, many different places. So using workflow, we can basically apply, different, we can apply different workflow in which, for example, if I want to send an email notification to certain people, and you can do that, that you can do by using workflow functionality, right? So workflow functionality can be used for this purpose, right? So there is a workflow. These are some of many workflow which is available in the system. I would like you guys to make a note of it. There's a workflow for approval. There is also for refusal. These are the, like if you see here, WS6540027, task TS6540032. This is the name of a workflow and the task within the workflow, which workflow can be used by the workflow consultant. You cannot work on the workflow as a functional consultant. The workflow can only be performed and created by experienced workflow experts. They are different people, technical people. If you want to do a refuse overall purchase requisition, this is the workflow for that. If you want to refuse a release of purchase order, so this is the workflow which is available in the system. If you guys want to make a note of it, you guys can make a note of them as well. So this is a refusal for the purchase requisition. This is a refusal for overall release of purchase requisition. This is a refusal of release of purchase orders. You can have all these different documents. Okay. Now what happens is, you have a blocked purchase requisition. So if the purchase requisition has been blocked, and block basically means when release strategy apply, then system blocks it. Block, that basically means further actions, further functions cannot be performed on the release strategy. Now, once the purchase requisitions has been approved or blocked, then you have two choices: individual release and collective release. Individual release basically means that you can do release of the purchase requisition one by one. Collective release basically means you can do processing of the multiple purchase requisitions. Now, where is these transactions? So, if I go to logistics, if I go to materials management, if I go to purchasing and purchase requisition, and here I will release. So I would like you guys to make a note of the menu path and transaction code. ME54N is for individual release. ME55 is for collective release. So ME54N is for individual release, means one purchase requisition document at a time. ME55 is for collective release. So I would like you guys to make a note of both transaction code, ME54N for individual release and ME55 for collective release. These are the two transaction code for purchase requisition approval or release. If you go to purchase order, so in the purchase order also we have a individual release and we have a collective release. So individual release transaction code ME29N and collective release is transaction code ME28. So I will like you guys to make a note of both of these two transaction code, ME29 for purchase order, individual release, ME28 for collective release. Okay. So ME29N and ME28. And then here we have individual release, ME54N, ME55. These are the transaction codes. So these are the ME54N for individual release. And we're going to go there. We're going to use this transaction code. ME29N is for the purchase order. We saw that transaction code. So those are the two transaction code for releasing a purchase requisition and purchase order. So make a note of that. So now I want to do some exercises. So in this exercise, what I want to do is, so I want to purchase requisition, release strategy, exercise. Now, what is the meaning of that is purchase requisition, release strategy exercise? What I want to gonna do? So I want you to create a material master record with release conditions, Then I want to create a purchase requisition with release conditions. Then I want to verify release strategy assignment in PR. That is the steps I want to do. So creating a material master is transaction code MM01. Creating a purchase requisition, transaction code is ME51N. And I can verify the same transaction in ME51N. So I again go back to my release strategy in the configuration. So this is the configuration in which I have released strategy 55. This release strategy 55 tells me that account assignment category should be blank. Material group field in the material master should be SCM 520. Plant should be 1000. Purchasing group should be one of these values. So that is the third condition. And then fourth condition, there is a tracking field in the purchase requisition that should have this value. And the total value of purchase requisition line item should be greater than 1,000. And document type should be NB. So total, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So there are total of 7 conditions, and those 7 conditions should met in the material master and in purchase requisition. If these 7 conditions are met, then we shall be able to apply this purchase requisition. This purchase requisition will apply under these 7 conditions. So let's create a material master first. So creating a material master, MM01, this is the material master. Many of them we have created before. So in this material master, there is nothing different, nothing unique. So in this material master, so we go to mechanical engineering, material type, hit enter, and we select the same 4 views as we've been selecting all along. Hit enter, hit enter. So I just creating some fastener, right? And put in description. Material group. So material group is one of the fields. So material group is one of the fields. So material group should be SCM 520. And if I go to drop down, and material group should be SCM 520. There are 322 material groups, but this release strategy will only apply if material group equals to SCM 520. So we have this SCM 520. We select SCM 520. Then we have hit enter. Then purchasing group. So purchasing group is another field which is relevant for release strategy. In the purchasing group, we have Z21 and all those different Z10, Z11. So any of these, one of these purchasing group values should be there. So we choose Z10. So 2 conditions are met. So material group is met, purchasing group is met, and then third condition here is plant. So plant should be 1,000. So 3 conditions has been met, and then we hit enter. Then we have a storage 1, and then we have accounting 1, in which I can enter the valuation class 3,000, and I have a standard price for $10 or whatever, and we hit enter. So 3 conditions are met. We got a material 12304. We got a material 12304. So we are going to, we got a material. Now I want to go to the next step, which is to create a purchase requisition. So I want to create a purchase requisition. So I want to create a purchase requisition. Okay. I want to create a purchase requisition. So same purchase requisition, ME51N. I enter the same material which we created. Enter the quantity, say 1,000. Enter the plant 1,000. So here, and my purchasing requisition document type is NB. So this is my 4th condition which has met. So 4 conditions are already met. And then 5th condition here is that account assignment category should be blank. So account assignment category field is blank. Another condition met. Then the 6th condition is, if I scroll down, the net value should be greater than 1000. If I go back and if I go to value, so the value is more than 1000. In fact, it is 10,000. So sixth condition is also met. Now there is one condition which is left. And that condition is requirement tracking number should be SCM 520. So here we have a field which is called requirement tracking number. And this field is blank. So this condition is not yet met. So here I enter SCM 520 and I hit enter. And the moment I enter SCM 520, it appears, a new tab appears here. And that tab here is called release strategy. If you see here, so now I have a new tab and that tab called release strategy. Now in this release strategy, what release strategy apply? ZZ. What release strategy apply? ZZ. This release strategy ZZ is part of the release group 01. It's part of the release group 01. And I have a two code, Z1 and Z2. If I go back in the release code, I have a Z1 and Z2. And I have a release code Z1 and Z2. And that is what we have here. Z1 and Z2. And then the release indicator S blocked. And if I go to S blocked, because it's not approved by Z1 is not approved by Z2, none of them has approved. Therefore, my release strategy here is S, which basically means it is blocked. You cannot create any purchase order, for example. It is blocked. So this is status blocked. So this purchase requisition is blocked. Now I save this purchase requisition. I save it. See the message in the bottom. 10015456 has been created. So this is my release strategy, and this is the purchase requisition we have created. Now I want to create PO with reference to PR. We're creating a PO with reference to PR. Now, what is the basically meaning of the creating a PO with reference to PR? Now, I want to create a PO with reference to this purchase requisition, which is blocked, and then see what happens. So I take this purchase requisition. I go back to the purchase order now. And in the purchase order, I have a ME21N. Put the document overview on. And I select my purchase requisition. So my purchase requisition appear here. I select, I adopt, copying my purchase requisition to purchase order, entering my vendor, net price. So I enter the price. Okay. Now see the message in the bottom. Purchase requisition item not released for ordering. So system tells me that we cannot use this purchase requisition. We cannot convert this purchase requisition into purchase order because this purchase requisition is not yet released. And once it is released, only then you can create a purchase order on the basis of this document. Now, I want to, so what we did in terms of a step, create purchase request with reference to PR and verify blocked message. So we saw that in PO we got a message blocked, that system does not allow us to create a so that doesn't happen. Now the next step is create a PO with reference to PR. Now the next message is we wanted to release purchase requisition. So I want to release this purchase requisition. The same menu path, I exit out from here and I scroll down and I go to transaction code ME54N. ME54N is a transaction code to release a purchase requisition. If you have not made a note of it, then please do make a note of this. Release purchase requisition ME54N. 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 This is release a purchase requisition. So now I go to ME54N. And here is the situation. Release group 01, release ZZ, indicator S. If I go to release status, indicator S. And that is what you see here, indicator S. This purchase requisition is blocked for because it has not been approved by Z1, it has not been approved by Z2. So now see this button. So I click on this button and I say release. So that basically means it is released by Z1, my manager. Now once it is released by manager, the indicator becomes A. Indicator A basically means now we can create an RFQ. We cannot still create a purchase order, but we can create an RFQ. And see here, once it is approved by Z1 but not approved by Z2, status become A. Status has become A. Now after Z1, if it is approved by Z2 also, so now I go to Z2. Now I go to Z2. So it is approved by Z1 also, now it is approved by Z2 also. And now the status become B. And that is what we have in configuration. Now status become B. Status become B. Now after, so we did the release purchase requisition, Z1 and Z2. Now let us say I want to cancel release. I don't want to approve it. I want to release in PR. I want to cancel release. So I go back to this button and I cancel it. And the moment I cancel it, again becomes status A. It goes to reverse order. And I cancel Z1 also. Now status become again S. So now the status turned back. So we did a cancel. Now after cancel, I want to re-release. I want to release again. Release. Release. So we did a cancel release for Z1 and Z2. and we verified. And we verified the status. And then we gonna want to re-release. And re-release in PR. And we again verify status. And after re-releasing, status become B. That basically means I can create a purchase order, I can create purchase requisitions, either one of them I can do. And then we save it. See the message. So purchase requisition has been released. Now, after releasing this, I want to, let us say, create a purchase order. I want to create a PO with reference to PR. So how do we do that? That is what I want to verify. Okay. I want to verify that. So now I go back to the PO and I take this, my purchase requisition, exit. Again, I go to the PO. I again go back to the PO. I select my purchase requisition. I adopt. I hit enter. I enter my value. Now there's no good problem. And then we hit save. Now we are able to create a purchase order successfully without any problems. PO created under the number. We created PO, and now we're going to take a 10 minutes break, and we'll talk after 10 minutes. Okay, so let's begin. I'm back. And we have talked release strategy. Now, I want to talk the next topic and the last topic. So we're going to talk about condition technique. Condition technique basically means how pricing, condition work in SAP. So we're going to talk about condition technique. Condition technique, we're going to discuss and we're going to talk from the perspective of pricing in purchase order. So how system determine pricing and what are the different elements in the pricing? What are the different records and how those records get determined? There is a concept of condition technique. So how this condition technique concept works. So that is what we will be discussing. I will like you guys to make a note of the term called condition technique. So make a note of this term called condition technique. Condition technique. Condition technique is a technique, is a concept which is used in many different areas. Condition technique is used in pricing, not only in MM, but also in SD and other areas. In sales order processing, condition technique is used. In invoicing, condition technique is used. Purchasing, condition technique is used. We are talking condition technique from the perspective of order. But apart from the purchase order, it also used in sales order. It also used in invoicing. It also used in many other places. And these are some of the areas where condition technique is used. So we have revenue determination, tax determination, output determination, partner determination, workload determination, batch determination, and many other places. So condition technique is very broadly used capability in SAP, which is used in pricing and many other functions and many other modules. So that basically means if you understand the condition technique in purchasing, you can apply this condition technique not only in purchasing, but also in sales and also in many other functional areas and processes, which is based upon condition technique. For example, revenue account determination, tax determination, output determination, etc. Condition technique has these elements. Now, what is the condition technique? So condition technique consists of these elements. So condition technique consists of following elements. It consists of pricing procedure. Pricing procedure is linked to something called condition type. Make a note of this. Condition type is linked to access sequence. Access sequence is linked to something called condition table. And condition table is linked to condition records. Condition technique. This defines how the condition technique works. So pricing procedure, condition type, access sequence, condition table, condition record. We will understand what all these elements basically means. We can understand how these elements are connected with each other. Pricing procedure. Pricing procedure is a condition type. Condition type have access sequence. Access sequence has a condition table, and condition table have a condition record. So pricing procedure, condition type, access sequence, condition table, condition record. This picture, which you look at your screen, describes how each of these elements is connected. That is what this describes. Now let us understand them. Now here, purchase order. Now let us say I enter it, I go to the purchase order. So, any purchase order. We can create a new purchase order. We can go to any existing purchase order. In this purchase order, we have a conditions tab. This is the conditions tab. In this condition tab, I want to go to this button called analysis. If I go to this analysis button, then this is what we have. First and foremost, we have a pricing procedure RM0000. Somewhere, somehow, this pricing procedure has appeared in the sales order, in purchase order. RM0000. How this RM0000 has end up coming or end up being in purchase order? On what basis? How did it came? Now that is where we need to investigate. That is where we need to go to configuration and we need to verify that what does this basically means and how does this describe what it basically describes. Okay. So so here we have RM0000. Now I'm going to configuration. I go to configuration. I'm going to SPRO. I'm going to configuration. In the configuration, we have something called conditions. And we have something called defined pricing procedure determination process. And here we have something called defined schema determination. Make a note of this menu path. So this is the menu path where this pricing schema is defined, where it is. So it is a material management, purchasing, conditions, defined pricing determination process, and defined schema determination. This is the menu path. Okay. So this is the menu path. I would like you guys to make a note of this menu path. Make a note of this menu path where we have defined pricing procedure determination. Now here, where is the menu path? Materials management, purchasing, conditions, defined pricing determination, and defined schema determination. So this is the menu path. Make a note of that. Okay. So define schema determination. Now here we have a determined schema determination for the standard process flows. And here we have there is a schema group for so here we have a schema group for purchase order, and then we have a schema group for the vendor. This is just an indicator which is assigned to purchasing group. Then we have purchasing group for the vendor, which is assigned to a this is assigned to purchase organization, and this is assigned to the vendor. This is an indicator, and this field is there in the material in the vendor master, and this field is there in the purchasing group. Okay, so we have a schema group for purchase organization blank, schema group for the vendor is blank, and then we have a pricing procedure RM 0000. That is why here in my purchase organization I have a pricing procedure has RM 0000. And that is what we are seeing here in this PDF, which says that in the purchase organization there is a vendor schema and purchase in schema, and with these two schema we determine pricing procedure, which is RM 0000, which is RM 0000. This indicator assigned to purchasing organization, this indicator assigned to vendor master. So purchase order, so vendor master and purchase order schema. Now, what is behind this purchase order? So purchase order RM00 came. We see this RM00 here in the purchase organization. And this came because in the configuration, I have this setting up here, RM00. Now, what is behind RM00? What is RM0000 consist of? So I go to now RM0000. I came out of here. I'm going to configuration. And then I go to define calculation schema. Pricing procedure and calculation schema are used interchangeably. So pricing procedure and calculation schema are used interchangeably. So we're going to define calculation schema. And in this calculation schema, we have something called RM 00 and 00. If I go to RM 0000, if I go to control data, and in this pricing procedure, these are many condition type which is being defined. In this pricing procedure, there are 49 condition types. There is a gross price, PB00, PBXX, and surcharge. There is some discount and group discount, and God knows tax and freight, and so we have a lot of junk. And these are all different condition types which is being defined in this pricing procedure. So pricing procedure linked to condition type, and that is what you see here. So in the pricing procedure RM 0000, we have PV00, PVXX, VA00, VA1, VA2, all these different condition types. These condition types are coming because they are listed here. Now, if I look at here in PV00, if I click on this PV00, then we have something called 0002, 0002, 0002, 0002, 0002. And then it is linked to access sequence 5, 10, 13, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 60, 65. What is this? What is this? What is 0002? And which is linked to PV00. So we see here in the configuration that we have a 00, PV00 condition type. So I exit back. Now here I have a condition type. So I go to condition type, make a note of that. So I go to condition type. So now I go to condition type. I want to check what is behind PV00. So I go to define condition type PV00. Here in the condition, there are 126 different condition type which has been defined. One of them is, and if I go to position and PV00, so I have condition type PV00, and that is a price. Condition type PV00. I select that. I go to the detail. Now this is the PV00. And now PV00 is linked to access sequence 002. And that is what we see here. Pricing procedure. And that we saw was RM0000. That linked to many condition types, including one of them is a PV00. This PV00 is linked to the access sequence 0002. That is the linking we have seen so far. So pricing procedure get determined on the basis of purchase org and vendor indicator. Then purchase org pricing procedure can have one or more than one condition type. Then one and more condition type can have a one or more access sequence. And then one and more access sequence okay. We have access sequence 0002. So here we have a access sequence 0002. Now if I go to PDF, now this is what PDF is saying. So with the in purchase order, based upon vendor schema and purchase order schema, we determine the pricing procedure RM0000. In one pricing procedure, you can have a many condition type PV00, RA01. With this condition type PV00, we can link to an access sequence 002. So in condition type PV00, we can link it to the access sequence, for example, 00 and 02. Purchase order pricing procedure has a condition type, and condition type has access sequence 0002. Is linked condition type, which is for the price based upon quantity, is linked to access sequence 002. Now in this access sequence, what is behind this access sequence? And that is why in the pricing procedure, we see that 0002, 0002, 0002, 00, because PV00 is linked to access sequence 00 and 02, and that is why we see this 222, 222, 222, 0002, 0002, 0002 all the time, because PV00 is linked to access sequence 002. Now, what is behind access sequence 002? What is behind? So we select it. Now I go to here, define access sequence. So we looked at it, pricing determination. We looked at the calculation schema. We looked at the condition type. Now I want to look at access sequence. And I go to access sequence. Now we look to access sequence. Okay. I click on it. And I have a access sequence 00 and 02. It accesses. When I go to access, then see here, we have all these different tables. So we have a table 118, 68, 16, 16, 67, 17, 66, 18, 25, 28, 17, all these different tables. So that basically means these are the tables which hold the record. Now, if I go to pricing analysis, if I click on it, the access not executed, 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 access not executed. System could not find any record in any of the table. So what ultimately condition technique is doing? Condition technique is allowing you to find a pricing procedure, and from the pricing procedure condition type, from the condition type to access sequence, from access sequence to condition table, and in the table it is looking for a record. And if it finds a record, it picks up, and if it does not find a record, it does not picks up that record. That is what it is doing. Now, I want to, for example, so I have this condition has been found without record, because in this purchase order, I have maintained this price manually. So there was no record, I just manually maintained it. So I have this material 12034 for this vendor, Big Bazaar. And if I go back, if I scroll down, and if I go back again into analysis button, if I look into PV00, no record has been found. Everywhere, access not executed, 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 not executed. It didn't execute it. And so, wonderful. We didn't find any record. Now what I want to do, so I want to verify automatic price determination in purchase order. So for that, what I want to do, I want to create a purchase info record M11. So I want to create a purchase info record M11. So I want to take the same material 120304 with the same vendor. I want to create a purchase info record, like many purchase info record which you have created. So we go to M11. So I put my material, and I pick my purchase organization. I think purchase organization is Z091, I guess. And then we have a plant 1000. Now here, I enter the price, say $13. Plant delivery time, 2 days. And I enter my price, $13. Now in this purchase info record, what I'm saying that this vendor, Big Bazaar, for this material, fastener, my price is $13 per piece. We hit enter, we hit enter, we hit enter, and we hit save. So purchase info record has been created. So we are able to create a purchase info record. After that, I want to create a purchase order for the same material and for the same vendor in same purchase organization, same plant. I select my same vendor, Big Bazaar, enter my purchasing group, enter the same purchase organization, enter the same material. What was that material number? 12304. 12304. Quantity, say 100 pieces. And now what happened? $13 price came. Earlier, did not. Now we have a $13 because in the purchase info record we enter $13. So it is picking up from the purchase info record. Now I go to analysis button. If I go to analysis button, now if I go to PV00, last time everything was blank, not determined, not determined. So here access is still not executed, not executed, not executed, not executed, not executed. And if I go here in the row 25, then I get a message, condition record has been found. What system did? It went to this vendor, it went to this material for this purchase order, this plant, and you go to purchase info record, and from the purchase info record, a condition record has been found, and that condition record has been auto-populated in purchase order. Now, if I go back here, so which one is found? 25. Now I'm going to configuration. Now I'm going to 25. This is 25. And this is the table 17. So when I'm entering a price in purchase info record, so we know that it came from purchase info record, but behind the scene, it came from this table 17. In this table 17, this condition record was saved. How the conditions? So we have condition table 17, and in this table we had price record. So this is how system determines. First, determine pricing procedure, then it determine condition type, then it determine access sequence, then it determine condition table, table number 17. Last time it was blank. Now when we create purchase info record, in this table record was populated and that record was determined. And that is what we see here. Purchase order. In that we have a vendor schema. We have a purchase schema. We have a pricing procedure, which is linked to condition type, which is linked to access sequence, which is linked to table 1, table 2, table 3. And this each table has a record. And in that, whatever record is maintained, that record gets populated. And that is what you can see in price element. So system determine pricing procedure, RM0000, determine condition type, PV00. In condition type, system first look here, not found. First look at here, nothing found. In this table, nothing there. In this table, nothing there. In this table, nothing there. In this table, record has been found. The system has determined the record. System has determined the record. Okay. System has determined the record. Okay. We have condition record which has been found now. Okay. So we are able to do this exercise. Now, I wanted to do something else. So we have condition record which has been found. and this is how the whole condition technique maintained. Now I want to do one more exercise. I want to create a contract. I want to create a contract. So we have a 25. I exit. So now I want to create a contract. This is the contract which we created. This is same exercise we did before. And I choose my vendor. So I select my vendor, Big Bazaar, same vendor. So same vendor, Big Bazaar, I'm selecting my quantity contract, my purchase organization, my purchasing group. This is the same contract which we created before, nothing different. This contract is valid from, whatever date. So this contract is valid for, 1 year, 2 year, 5 year, whatever. So it's valid for 1 year. I put the material here, the same material, 12304. I put a target quantity here. And in this contract, I put the price, say $9. So this contract is for $9 per piece. I have a long-term contract, so vendor giving me better price. I just signed a contract with this vendor. I save it. And $9 per piece, I've entered the price. I hit back. Now I want to go to purchase order. I want to create a purchase order. And I want to enter my vendor, enter my purchasing group, enter my material, enter my quantity, and I contract exists for this vendor. Okay. So now system give me message that the contract agree. So I want to create this PO with reference to contract. So I saw that message, and now I want to go and create this purchase order with reference to contract, because system tells me that I have a contract. So I go to contract, and I take all this stuff out, and I check my contract. So I have this is my contract. I copy this contract. This is the same exercise which we have done. Enter the quantity. So now I'm creating this PO with reference to contract. Last time I created without reference to the contract. And when I create with reference to contract, then a $9 comes into the picture. Earlier it was $13. When I created this purchase order with reference to without any contract, it takes $13. When I'm creating this purchase order with reference to contract, then it takes $9, and that $9 is my price is in PO. If I go to analysis button, if I go to PV00, and if I go back here, not executed, not executed, not executed, and if I go here, condition record has been found. System has found this contract. And this is at the row number 15. Last time we were in the row number 25. 15. Table number 16. So now when I'm entering the price in the contract, it is going into the table number 16. It entered table number 16. And this record is also there, but this record is not executed due to previous access. System do not execute and take from the purchase info record, because between purchase info record and the contract is the priority, it's coming first. So that is why it is called access sequence. Access sequence basically means the sequence in which accesses are executed. That is what called access sequence. The sequence in which accesses are executed. So we are executing these accesses in this sequence. So first it goes to from the top, then it goes to contract. It checks into the contract, and because contract has been found, therefore purchase info record has been ignored. System do not go to purchase info record. So this is an example of how system determine pricing in the purchase order. So we learned how to create a condition technique. In the condition technique, we learned about pricing procedure linked to condition type linked to access sequence linked to condition table linked to condition record, and based upon condition record, it automatically goes into that table. So we saw that when I'm creating a purchase info record, it goes to table number 25. When I'm creating a contract, it goes to table number 15, and then system goes and see those records. And that is basically how condition technique works. And this condition technique, which I have discussed with you all, this condition technique I have discussed from the perspective of the pricing. Okay. So that is an example of determination of the pricing condition technique. So let me recap. Purchase order, get pricing procedure based upon vendor schema, purchase order schema. In the pricing procedure, we can have a condition type PV00, or could be many other condition type linked to access sequence linked to table, and table linked to record. And that is what we see here. Link the pricing procedure RM00, which linked to condition type. Here in this case PV00, there are many others. Same. We have taken an example of one condition type, and same logic applied to any condition type. Then we have it linked to access sequence 00, 5, 10, 13, 15. These are different tables, and these tables are defined. So when you go to contract, the record is saved in the table number 16. So what system does, it goes to table number 16, and from the table number 16, system determines the record. And when I'm creating a purchase for record, it goes to table number 17, and from the table number 17, it determines the record. These tables are the database table. These are the table where the condition record is maintained. Okay, so that is about what I want to talk in the pricing, and this concludes our course. In terms of next step, so in terms of next step, this concludes the course of MM. So next step, I would like to see all homework from you, as I've been asking. I have not seen from everyone. Some said, some have sent, not everyone has sent. Homework is all exercises which I have done. So you have to follow those exercises. After homework, I would like to do mock interviews. In the mock interviews, I can do 3 mock interviews. So 3 mock interviews. So one for purchasing, one for inventory, and WM, and one for all. Mocks are telephonic only. For the mock, the process is email me when you are ready. My email ID is, I'm very sure each one of you have, not then you make a note of it. We will schedule mutually convenient time. Mocks are focused on conceptual understanding and system understanding. After the mocks, we do the resume preparation. We start marketing. And finding job. Re-attending class. So each one of you can rejoin class again, next batch. And as you know, to clarify, there is no additional fees. It's not like you're going to pay another fees and all that. So these are the next steps. Any questions? Anybody has? Any questions? Anybody has? Okay. So if there's no question, then we are done for the today. And we're done for the batch. And we will be in touch. Thank you all.